Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Happy Sunday to all of you. 250 years old, that's the official number of the age of the United States of America. Today we have 4th of July, a lot of people celebrate it, a lot of people don't, for many reasons. Some question this holiday, question the story behind it, and some because they are simply struggling in, as Trump says, the hottest country in the world. Every time he says it, I ask myself, what is he really talking about? Yes, I don't live in US anymore. I used to live there for many years in different states, and I still have a place in my heart for that country because I experienced a lot, it gave me a lot, and I am immensely grateful for the time there. I even sometimes I'm considering thinking, shall I return and start all over again? But then, the statistics are the statistics. Of course, they lie everywhere. So they might be even lying that 49%, at least 49% of Americans, of the citizens of the United States are struggling. At least 49% are struggling to meet the expenses, to meet the means to exist in this material world that we are still in. So today we're going to go through very interesting things. First, we're going to start with a video that is about the confirmation by Marco Rubio, so the Secretary of State, that's kind of like official, about the digital ID coming to the US this year. I don't know if this is a birthday gift. I'm sure a lot of you already are very aware of it. And then I give you my comments after that. We're also going to look into Trump, a few things about him, well, especially one thing. And I'm going to go through those statistics because I was really interested to know what is the percentage of people that are really living paycheck to paycheck in the US. So how is it going on right now? And then before we end this video, we will go a little bit into history, and that is the history of Abraham Lincoln, why he was assassinated, what's up with that, as well as Tartaria. That's right. But very briefly, we will look into Tartaria. I never really dedicated a video to Tartaria, which I think ultimately I should, because even the city that I come from in Poland and live in, the symbol of the city is Griffon, and those were very often symbols of Tartaria. So guys, before we start, let me just open this again. Thank you so much to Lynn, Jim, and John for another donations that you made on my PayPal. And I appreciate your support so much because, as you know, I am independent YouTube channel. I don't have any collaborations, any paid sponsorships. So your assistance, your help with this means a lot. Let's go straight to the point. So this year, digital ID, buckle up everyone, US, 250 years, allegedly.
The United States just silently confirmed it is going to introduce digital IDs this year. Look.
Now, beyond that, I would say that we are also looking at some technological changes, which we'll be more fully able to announce over the coming months, where it's going to be a lot easier to get a passport in terms of the dynamics of it. You'll actually be able to go online. You'll be able to do almost all of it entirely online. One of the questions we had was most of the devices that people are using, be it a laptop or a standing computer or what have you, where you would fill out this application, they have cameras on them. I know it's shocking, but they have cameras, they have videos that people use. You should be able to take that picture on that device as opposed to going somewhere. Now, the CVS people, of course, hate this, and the Walgreens and those other places, but you'll be able to take your picture from that device and be able to have it in real time through our security system, verify the facial ID, and it just saves you a lot of, you don't have to go down somewhere now and get a headshot and have the little pictures that you have to cut and then submit 3 passport pictures. You'll be able to do that. You'll be able to do it online entirely for the most part with all the right numbers. They'll be able to verify it for you, and you should be able to get it much sooner. So we're going to make it much more customer friendly. We're not ready to do that yet, but that's really what we want to be able to do.
After listening to Marco Rubio, I have come to the realization that we are entering biblical times. And if you think digital IDs is a great idea, you are delusional. It's just less privacy and more surveillance for everyone in the United States.
So I want to say a few things here. This is not breaking news. We all know where they are heading. FYI, all around the world. It's just different timeline. Too many. But with the technology that they have, especially with the BFF that is in the blue and white color theme, you get my drift. You know what I'm saying? They can see where you are through the building, like they know where you are. They can take your picture regardless of wherever you are. You are in the toilet, you are in the bedroom, that's right. With whom they know with whom you are in the bedroom. They know. So they have this technology, or maybe they are not as advanced as we give them credit for, right? But look, what they are doing in Gaza, for example, they use the most advanced technology. They have technology that they can take a picture of you, again, from far away, let's say from out of this earth plane, from outside. That's what I've heard. I might be wrong. So why do we need all those BS devices? Just like if you already see me without my phone, with my phone, doesn't matter. If you already see me, my existence somewhere, you already have my picture, right? I'm being sarcastic, but actually it's quite a good question, don't you think? Like they can literally snapshot the pictures of you everywhere. Unless you change your frequency and you are not appearing on those cameras. Oh, this is a different level for the conversation, right? This is like we're getting into esoteric stuff. I think this is the only way for us, everyone. But now let's go to the financial situation of people in the United States. Since today is 4th of July, and no offense to those of you who celebrate, happy 4th of July. To those of you that don't, then it's all right. Now, let's take a listen how things are for Trump's family. Just quick check on that.
It's
Because every time my kids do, if they invest in a stock or if they go and do a bill, anything they do, because the presidency is so powerful, so big, everything, if they buy a cupcake company, well, the energy to make the cupcakes is, sort of like, how's my energy policy? So therefore you have a conflict. Almost anything they do, if they want to buy a truck, if they want to buy, if they buy an energy efficient truck, they have inside information. So, because every time my kids do, if they invest.
Well, you heard it from him, like, like we know, but he just said it, so we know again. It's absolutely, I'm sometimes thinking to myself, where am I living? What is this freaking Twilight Zone? I remember when he was accusing Biden's family, which is like beyond corrupted too, of the corruption, but look at his family now. Anyway, let's go to some data, guys. Let's start with, because I wasn't sure if the post I came across was actually true. It looks like it is. So we're going to read this first briefly, and then we go to that post. I asked this question because there was an Instagram post talking about percentage of Americans that are struggling. So I asked, how many Americans are struggling financially 2026? Roughly 83% of Americans, approximately 216 million people, report feeling financial stress, strain, or uncertainty, according to a comprehensive June 2026 study by Edward Jones and Gallup. I am not saying I trust all those studies and all those numbers, but it gives us an idea. Furthermore, a record of 55%, so more than a half of Americans, state that their financial situation is actively worsening, driven heavily by an ongoing affordability crisis. So current measures. Paycheck to paycheck living. About 51 to 76% of households are living paycheck to paycheck. A MarketWatch guides tracking analysis, yeah, that's how we say, places the baseline at 57%, while specific localized or high cost of living trackers push that estimate up to 76%. This includes roughly 20% to 38% of high earners making over 100,000 to 150,000 annually. Severe financial, actually, one more here. Perceived deterioration. A May 2026 survey by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York shows that 48% of Americans feel their current financial situation is worse than it was a year ago. Severe financial hardships. 55% of households reported experiencing some level of hardships due to the price increases, with 15% characterizing that hardship as severe enough to jeopardize their standards of living. So let me take you to this post, because I was like, is this real? Well, it looks like that's the reality, and I know majority of my viewers are from the United States. So you can confirm a lot of things because you are there on the ground. Let me just find that post. Here we are. 49% of Americans are struggling with basic needs. They don't have home to live. I was like, no, they are over exaggerating, because this is impossible. Like half of the country doesn't have home to live. So I think it's just not presented, how you say it, phrased in a right way. But according to recent survey, nearly 49% of Americans are struggling to afford basic necessities. Many are just one paycheck away from crisis. This is the silent struggle happening right now. Rent prices have gone completely crazy in most cities. In big cities like New York, Los Angeles, and San Francisco, average rent is $2,500 to $4,000 plus per month. A normal person working full-time is spending 50 to 60% of their salary just on rent. I would actually say more than that. And I was in the situation like this in the United States as well, that I was paying much more than 60% for rent in some moments of my life. Anyway, millions of Americans cannot afford a proper home. Many are living in cars, shared rooms, or with family even after working full-time jobs. The dream of owning a house has become almost impossible for the middle class. Prices of daily food items have increased massively. Eggs, milk, meat, vegetables, everything costs much more than before. Many families are forced to choose between paying rent or buying groceries. People are working 2 jobs, but still falling behind. Medical bills, student loans, and high taxes make everything worse. A big part of America is living in the financial stress every single month. So, yeah, this is as far as the American dream goes. Now, I want to take you to a story about Abraham Lincoln. Why he was killed, guys? Do you know that? Since we are celebrating 250-year anniversary, let me take you to this, because this is also about money. What was Lincoln trying to stop before he was assassinated? Do you see the notes? Look at those notes. When the Civil War broke out, Lincoln went to European bankers for funding. They quoted him interest rates above 30%. He refused. Instead of handing the country's future to private lenders, He printed government-issued currency directly from the US Treasury. For the first time in American history, the nation had money that belonged to the people and not to the banks. So this must be those notes. You see $1.50, $1. This is what he printed. The moment greenbacks entered circulation, I think that was the name of it, the most powerful banking families in Europe went into panic mode. They called Lincoln's money financial heresy. Internal memos warned that if this system spread, America would permanently escape their control. The Rothschilds and the corporate allies in New York began coordinating a response. They could not allow a government to fund itself without borrowing from them. Railroads, industrialists, and Wall Street lobbyists moved fast. They pushed through the National Banking Acts of 1863 and 1864, shifting money creation back into the hands of private, corporate-controlled banks. Greenbacks were slowly squeezed, so that was the name of the currency. Greenbacks were slowly squeezed out of the economy. The window Lincoln had opened was being shut from the outside while he was still in office. On April 14, 1865, just days after Lincoln publicly announced plans to expand greenbacks for the reconstruction of America, he was shot at Ford's Theater. Historians have debated for over a century whether the assassination was purely political or whether financial elites, who stood to lose everything, had a hand in it. The corporations and banking houses that despised his monetary revolution had every reason to want him gone. With Lincoln in the ground, so meaning that the national banking system moved in quickly. Greenbacks were relabeled unstable and dangerous in the press. Debt-based currency became the new normal. Controlled entirely by corporate and banking elites, the Federal Reserve was established in 1913, cementing that control permanently. What Lincoln built in 2 years was dismantled over the next 5 decades and buried inside textbooks that only ever mention his war victory. This timeline makes it hard to look away. 1861, greenbacks created. 1863, National Banking Acts got them. 1865, Lincoln assassinated. 1870s, greenbacks phased out and replaced by banker-controlled money. 1913, Federal Reserve locks in corporate financial rule for good. Every step happened in the exact order that benefited the people who hated Lincoln's system the most. So here you see that note. Greenbacks proved something that has since been scrapped from public memory. A nation can found itself without debt, without interest, and without a private bank controlling the supply. That proof was too dangerous to leave intact, so the people who rewrote the curriculum made sure you only ever heard about Lincoln freeing slaves. They made sure you never heard about Lincoln trying to free you from the banks. The system you were born into was designed after Lincoln's alternative was destroyed. Every dollar in circulation today is borrowed into existence at interest. Every paycheck you earn has already been taxed by a debt the government owes to a private institution. The banks did not win by accident. They won by removing the one person who tried to build a way out, and they made sure no one who came after him would dare try again. So now I want to take you to a post about Tartaria. You know why? Because with this 250 years, which again, in my opinion, is very, very questionable, watching many videos about Tartaria and about how big part of our planet Tartaria was, I wouldn't say occupying. How big part of our planet Tartaria was on. What was Tartaria? It was an empire that existed. It was removed from the history. They covered it up. It was very advanced civilization. And actually, I'm going to read to you some things about it, about energy, about architecture, etc. And the United States was also part of it. So whatever history we are learning is not complete history. The dates are changed. Big part of that history has been completely removed. I'm sure many other parts as well. But this particular civilization was incredibly advanced. And you can still see many of the buildings that were creating during that era. They are still standing. Of course, you know, they like to destroy and demolish and do the resets. So you have less and less of that beauty, of that energy, of that architecture. But let me just take you to this post because I think this is quite relevant as far as the 250 years of the US today. Let me find it, guys. Okay, so let's start with this. So they erased Tartaria from the map. They are showing actually just this region here, which is current Russia, okay? But not only Russian region was part of it, and in Europe. US was part of it as well. Let me read this. Let's see here. Okay. What if the history you learned in school is missing the biggest empire that ever existed? A massive advanced civilization called Tartaria once covered most of Asia and parts of Europe. Old maps show it clearly, then suddenly it vanished. No war, no explanation, just gone. Keep reading, the cover-up is wild. In 1771, the famous Encyclopedia Britannica called Tartaria the largest country in the world, bigger than Russia and China combined. Hundreds of maps from the 1500s to 1800s show it with big cities and advanced trade. Then, in just 100 years, every single map erased it completely. Empires don't disappear without a trace unless someone wants them forgotten. So here you actually see the building. I think it's I forgot the name. I think it's St. Basil. This is in Russia, in Red Square, in Moscow. Yeah, I think it's the same one because there are a lot of buildings, or maybe I think it's that one. But let's read it. Look at the buildings: St. Petersburg, Paris, Chicago, Vienna. Also, I want to tell you, United States as well. Okay, I know that this says it's just Europe and Asia, but the same kind of buildings exist in the US. A lot of them still. Look at the buildings: St. Petersburg, Paris, Chicago, Vienna, these giant, beautiful buildings with perfect domes and stonework, supposedly built in the 1800s. No construction records, no pictures of them being built, they just appeared. The 1893 Chicago World Fair showed enormous palaces built in just 2 years, then torn down right after. Why hide such a beauty? The forests tell the truth too. Scientists tested trees across Russia, Canada, and Europe. Most are only 150 to 300 years old. Something wiped out the old forests between 17 and 1850. We were told these were ancient woods. They were not. They were new, growing over something the elites buried. Here you see the flags. Okay, this is actually Polish flag. Here you have US. I'm not sure the other two. You can put, I think, is this, no, this is not Germany. I'm not sure which, is this Romania? I think this is Romania, but you can put in the comments down below. Anyway, you see Griffon here, guys. I'm going to show you later on Griffon, you see this on the yellow flag, the symbol. Yeah, I'm going to show you something before we end this video. Many cities still use old Tartarian symbols on their official coats of arms. This is like the hometown, my hometown does. Dragons, double-headed eagles, and special geometric shapes. These symbols are older than the cities themselves. Why do they keep using symbols from an empire that never existed? Tartaria was a powerful advanced civilization with free energy and grand architecture. The elites erased it from history so you would never know what humanity is truly capable of. They destroyed the evidence, rewrote the books, and planted new forests over the truth. So let me now show you. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? Just bear with me. I have to find this again. I'm gonna show you the symbol of my hometown. Since we are on the topic of Griffon, actually, see? This is the symbol of Szczecin. This is the symbol of Szczecin. Well, this one is like really old, but the one that you see the most, so this is my hometown. The one that you see the most is this. But when you look at this one, Stettin, it was the German name when Stettin was part of Germany. This is clearly Griffon. And there are many places, you know, that have those symbols like that. So that's all I have for you today, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to hit the thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. It's free of charge, and it really helps me with visibility, I would say. Thank you so much for watching. You have other platforms that I am on: Patreon, Locals, and also Instagram. If you have Instagram, make sure to follow me there. Attach in the links down below this video. And I will be posting a very important video tomorrow on my Patreon and Locals. I just tell you briefly before I do it. Someone has contacted me who is from Russia, someone who's Russian. I'm not going to say she or he. Anyway, someone who confirmed everything I was saying about Chabad Lubavitch and their influence and power in Russia. And also the blue and white theme presence in Russia, okay? So I'm gonna record the video about it. This will be tomorrow, which I think is interesting that someone from Russia actually contacted me and told me that they are trying to fight with it. I don't know if they will be successful because, you know, it's not an easy challenge to take on. But if you will be interested in watching that video, it will be translated from Russian into English, because on that person's or people's channel, it's already translated. And I think it's good that you contacted me. I think you're watching me right now. I got your email as well, so I appreciate this. But yeah, go to my Patreon and Locals, because that is really loaded topic, and I better, you know, measure what I am putting out here, because I think you still want me to keep on going, guys, right? Thank you so much. If you want to support my work, the links are down below the video as well. Lots of love. And remember, we are the leading edge and we are saving humanity. And I see you in another video. Bye, everyone.